Welcome back to talknorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. Talknorth.com is powered by Bite Squad. Go to bitesquad.com or download their app. Get food to your door in minutes. Use the promo code TALKNORTH to get your first delivery free. Talk North gets you your first delivery free.
You're listening to the Strom Sports Show.
And it's good to have you with us today on the talknorth.com podcast network. You're listening to the Strom Sports Show. I'm Steven Strom. If you want to advertise for the show, hit up Jim Souhan on our website. And big shout out to my producer, Brandon Morton, out there in Minnesota. Now we got a busy show for you guys today. I got Coach Julian Swartz, the assistant at Georgia Tech, the assistant coach for the Georgia Tech basketball team. And we know Josh Okogie, who is, blossoming here. You didn't expect him to play this early on for the Timberwolves, but he has, and he's played pretty well. So we're going to get Julian on. He coached him at Georgia Tech, so we're going to get him on in a few minutes here. Little update in the world of sports for Minnesota. The Wild, what can you say really about them? After a slow start, they've turned it around. I know they lost Tuesday night against San Jose, but I thought they played a really good game. The first period, it started out here 10:30 in New Jersey, so it's very late for me. I watched first period. They looked crisp. They were moving the puck really well, and they did it without Eric Stahl. I know they lost 4-3, but I was happy the way they played, and you can't really say much about them right now. Bruce Boudreau has these guys playing pretty much to their full potential right now, sitting at 8-4-1. So the Wild in a good spot right now. The Vikings obviously had a huge win against the Detroit Lions on Sunday. A little closer than I wanted it to be completely honest with you. The turnover, I don't know, some of the calls that John DeFilippo makes. He's done a good job this year, but there's been a couple questionable ones, especially when you are driving in the second half in Detroit's territory. You fake a fullback dive up the middle, and then you pitch it out to Dalvin Cook, who fumbles it. It wasn't Kirk Cousins' fault; it was Cook's fault. But you just kind of gave Detroit life, and the Vikings are fortunate that Detroit's just not a very good team and can't capitalize off those turnovers. Timberwolves. We know what's going on with them right now. It's just a mess. It's chaos at Target Center. It's chaos with Tom Thibodeau. Jimmy Butler's situation continues on here as he's sitting out for precautionary rest. He's sitting out for general soreness. So it's ridiculous at this point. They play L.A. I know this comes out on a Sunday, but they do play L.A. And the Lakers are going to be ready. They had a terrible loss after a big win in Portland. The Lakers laid an egg, so they're going to come out here and I don't know if Jimmy Butler is going to play or not. You don't know at this point because he's just been so fraudulent. His whole act has just been fraudulent. He says that all he cares about is winning. If you care about winning and you care about how hard you play, stop sitting out back-to-back games when we're a week into the season. How about that, Jimmy Butler? And let's look at PJ Fleck. We'll examine him in a couple seconds here. And then, we had the Gopher basketball. They had a win last night against Nebraska Omaha. Nothing crazy there. No surprise. The Gophers got to stay healthy. They had a disappointing season last year. The whole suspension with Reggie Lynch, the injury with Amir Coffey, Nate Mason battled injury. There's no excuse this year for Rick Pitino. You got to stay healthy. And if the Gophers don't have a good year this year, Rick Pitino could be out of here really quickly because you had a horrible season last year. 2 years ago, you make the tournament. The year before that, you won 6 games. So, what is it going to be this year? Every other year, it's been either a tournament appearance or one of the worst years in school history. So, what is it going to be with Rick Pitino this year? All right, so let's get into PJ Fleck, Mr. Sleeping Giant. That's the first thing PJ Fleck did when he came to Minnesota. He said, Minnesota is a sleeping giant. And he brought the whole row the boat mantra, all these elite and all these kinds of sayings. And you see the problem with those statements are that you put a tremendous amount of pressure on yourself. And Minnesota's not used to these young guys that come in and promote their mantras and slogans, and they're not used to that. And when you start saying stuff like Minnesota's a sleeping giant, you're going to get some pressure. I mean, there's going to be a lot of weight on how your season does. And Minnesotans love Gopher football. But if they don't win, they're not going to show up, especially when it gets to this time when it's 25 degrees over there and it's snowing. And, obviously it's outdoors at TCF Bank. But there are certain teams that you have to beat as a Golden Gopher head coach in football. And there are certain teams you have to compete with. Big difference. Beat and compete. When you lose to Maryland 42-13, and you lose to the Illinois Fighting Illini, Lovie Smith and Company, 55-31, you're in trouble. I mean, I don't care what the injuries are. Illinois lost to Penn State by 40 this year. Illinois lost to Maryland by 30. Illinois only beat Kent State by 7. Then the Gophers go on to lose to winless Nebraska, 53-28. Fleck is now 9-12 with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So the big question here, is this program growing? Because you look back a year ago, 2017, Gophers lost to Michigan State by 3. That's good. That's what I'm talking about when I say compete. Gophers lost to Iowa by 7. That's competing, but that's 2 years ago. And it seems like the program's taken a step back since then. Everyone takes Jerry Kill for granted, I feel like. Boy, did he get the raw end of a deal. Let's look at Jerry Kill's resume. And remember, this is what you call growth. This is what you call changing the identity of a program. So he comes in 2011. He's 3-9. Fair. 3-9. You first take over as a coach. You got to expect some bumps. But the next year, you got to make improvements. So from 3-9, he went to 6-7 in a bowl game. Growth, improvement. 2013, really make that jump. It's his third year. 2013, the Gophers finish 8-5. That's 8 wins in a bowl game. And then the next year he follows up with another 8-5 season, second in the Big Ten West. They went on to beat Michigan that year. They went on to beat Northwestern, beat Purdue, beat Nebraska in Lincoln when they were ranked. They lost to Ohio State by 7. When I say competing, this is what I mean. And then they lost to Wisconsin by 10. Jerry Kill had back-to-back 8-win seasons. Back-to-back 8-win seasons. Fleck's going to be lucky to have 8 conference wins in his tenure at Minnesota, the way this is going. Jerry Kill took the Gophers to 3 bowl games in 4 years. And let's be honest here, bowl games are like the damn college football playoff for Gopher fans, including myself. I mean, the goal isn't obviously the college football playoff. You can't even ponder the thought of being in a New Year's Day bowl. The thought is, and the goal is, playing a decent bowl. Not the Insight Bowl, but playing the Quicken Loans, playing a decent bowl. And PJ Fleck has not done this so far. And I get it. It's year 2. But there's, you look for some type of growth. You look for some type of improvement. Just humor me a little in some games. You beat Indiana, that was great. But you losing to Maryland 42-13, you losing to Illinois, you gave up 55 points to Lovie Smith and the Fighting Illini. And keep in mind, Illinois lost to Penn State by 40 this year. It's unacceptable. And PJ Fleck better start, rowing the boat quickly, or he'll be right back in Kalamazoo in Western Michigan. Because now the label on him is going to be, well, he can win at a small school in Western Michigan. He can go 13-1 there. But boy, when he gets to the big stage of the Big Ten, he ain't nothing. And this is the problem. This is kind of the hesitation that programs have when they want to bring in smaller Division I coaches. It's great that PJ Fleck went 13-1 in the I don't know what conference they're in, the MAC or whatever it is, playing against Northern Illinois in Ohio and Miami of Ohio. That's not it. You're playing with Urban Meyer. You're playing with Jim Harbaugh. You're playing with big-time, elite, Power 5 conference teams. Penn State, Wisconsin, they haven't been as good this year. Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa. Even Purdue has put on, they've made improvements. The Gophers what are they? I mean, if he doesn't turn this thing around next year, what's the future for Fleck? And I thought it was just kind of a cop-out move to fire your defensive coordinator after a 55. I mean, really? I guess everyone needs a scapegoat, and unfortunately Ron Smith was the scapegoat as a defensive coordinator who gave up 55 points to fight the Fighting Illini. So that's where we're at here. PJ Fleck's in trouble if he doesn't turn this thing around quickly. And you think about where the Gophers were a couple years ago. Boy, what would you do to see 8-5? What would you do to see, the Gophers beat Michigan, Northwestern, Purdue, Nebraska? I mean, Nebraska was winless this year, and you lose 53-28. Got to think about that. Jerry Kill was taken for granted here, and they really, when they let go of Tracy Claeys that following year, Jerry Kill was very upset about that. He said he would not step foot on that campus again. Is that what you want this program to be like? That you can't have a guy he's like our Nick Saban, who won 8 games, not want to come back and step foot on the campus? What are you doing? PJ Fleck's in trouble if he can't turn this thing around. And losing to Illinois on Saturday when you're 10.5-point favorites, and thank God I didn't touch that, but you're 10.5-point favorites to Illinois on the road, Lovie Smith, and you gave up 55 points. That's coaching. All right, so the listeners, you guys always know I try to book the most prominent guests on this show for you guys. I want to provide the best insight for my listeners, and I think I've outdone myself today because I have Coach Julian Swartz, who is the assistant coach for the Georgia Tech men's basketball team. He joins me today. Coach, thank you so much for giving me the time during this busy, busy season.
Well, no, I appreciate the opportunity, and it's a very I'm very humbled by what you said, but I don't know if I'd classify me as prominent, but I'll take it. So.
My man. All right, so obviously you Wolves fans know how much Josh Okogie's come on the scene and really been very solid for this team. He went to Georgia Tech. Obviously Coach Swartz had the opportunity to be with him, coach him. So first, let me just start on the Georgia Tech side. You guys open up against Lamar Friday. Give me a little preview. How do you guys feel about this season, and how much you guys going to miss Josh this year?
Well, there's no question we'll miss, Josh a great deal. You can't replace. Obviously, he was extremely productive, as a big-time scorer for us. And but even more so, we have a tremendous culture here, and Josh kind of spearheaded that. And so you lose him in, all over the place. And I think you see with the Timberwolves what he's able to do on the defensive end as well. So, but we feel. Listen, we were you couldn't be any happier in the world for Josh, just because I always tell people could coach basketball for 50 years, and I sincerely mean this. You could coach basketball for 50 years and not coach a better human being first and foremost than Josh. So for him to be able to not only have the dream and then be so motivated as he was, in the spring to go out and at that point, prove a lot of people wrong and put himself in position. You're just so happy, and it's helped our recruiting. Josh being, some people had him as a non-even top 200 guy,
yep.
Consistent 3-star guy, so totally under the radar. So for him just to be here, 2 years, and really develop and just be a heck of a player for us. It's obviously illustrates we've used it a lot in our recruiting. So, but to answer your question, for us, we don't necessarily have a superstar anymore. Josh was that, but we have a lot of really, really good players, a lot of good pieces. And so I think the way to replace Josh is, we're going to have to do it collectively and, do it on both ends. So we feel good. I think where we're at defensively, offensively, we put the things. So now it's just we're just ready to go play somebody, So.
Yep, 100%. You guys playing that the best conference in college basketball. It's not even close anymore in the ACC. Yeah. You just saw what Duke did last night. They look obviously talented as ever. UNC, even Syracuse. They've got a lot of teams in that conference. So it's. I'll definitely be watching for you guys. You and Coach Revino, I'm going to be cheering for you guys a lot this year. Now, unfortunately for Coach Julian Swartz, he is from Wisconsin. So let me just get this out of the way here.
Well, no, my older brother married his college sweetheart, who's from Minnesota. I have no idea why. So he turned on us as a Vikings fan. So the rest of us stayed true. So I already know what you're about to ask. So the only time though I did, I